Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a great Thursday live here at RGS. Make sure to give them a call, 801-280-3110. That's 801-280-3110. All right, time to talk a little hockey. The host of the Utah Puck Report, Jay Stevens, kind enough to join us. Jay, how are you?
What's up, Super Jay?
Doing spectacular. Enjoying the new nickname, I guess. And just, excited for some hockey. And thanks to Lloyd for throwing out the Beastie Boys intro.
I rolled out the Super J on Jay in the studio the other day, and somebody walked by. I've never heard that. Jay's like, I don't think I've heard that.
Like, well, it's stuck now.
Well, it's just fun, man. Jay and I have become really close friends. I mean, he did a lot to get me on the ice and put me in the goalie gear, and that meant a lot to me. That's helped me a lot, and he's helped me with my NHL knowledge. So, Jay, you're super to me, man. I don't care however the other people talk about you. You're super to me.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll take what I can get.
Hey, so let's it feels as if Edmonton got Florida got in their heads. Can you correct that in one game, or do you feel like the series really shifted in terms of Florida with how Edmonton kind of folded there in Game 3?
Yeah, that's a tricky thing, right? Edmonton definitely played into Florida's hands and right into their game plan and absolutely fell apart. Can you correct that in one game? I think so, because you've got – Connor McDavid is not just a great hockey player. He's a great captain. I don't know if you've seen the videos of him in the locker room, and he's super intense. I don't know if you remember Jonathan Toews when he was coined the name Captain Serious. I think Connor McDavid is also Captain Serious. I think he's really trying to pull this team along. And you could just see the frustration in his face about the, I guess we'll just call it stupidity, that Edmonton fell for and thought that they were going to send a message to Florida. Well, just every time they tried to do something, they ended up in the box, and Florida put a point on the board, and it went exactly the way Florida wanted it to. I just saw an interview with Chris Knobloch, the coach of the Oilers, where he's like, yeah, we're probably going to make a roster change, but they haven't decided on their starting goalie. And that just feels like too much panic for me. We had back-to-back one-goal games, so why on earth would you be panicking and threatening to change your lineups and, not backing your starting goalie? So it just feels like Edmonton's still panicking instead of just saying, hey, we're a really good team that had one good game get away from us. So I don't know. It's going to be a great game to watch, though.
Isn't that panic what we saw Dallas do, and didn't it lose a coach's job?
Yeah, exactly. There was some panic for sure on Dallas's part, mostly by the coach, and he kind of cracked under the pressure, and then he doubled down in his press conference when he, called out their starting goaltender, who's a phenom in that top 5 goalie in the league, just signed an 8-year extension there. And, it's one thing to pull him, which was a ridiculous move, but it's another thing to then kind of badmouth him to the press. So, yeah, when you do that, when you lose the room nowadays, coaches used to have some kind of immunity. They could say whatever they want because you thought, oh, well, they're trying to spark their team. But when you lose the room's confidence, you're going to lose your job.
Jay Stevens joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You kind of mentioned to us off the air the other day, but Sam Bennett may have played his way out of an opportunity to acquire him just by showing how valuable he is to that Florida Panther team.
Well, I'll tell you what, he is just – there's that one shift that's gone viral now. He throws 2 massive hits, regains the puck, and then scores a breakaway goal. And it's just phenomenal. And I just don't see Florida letting him go. And I see him willing to take, $9 million to stay there for a long time. They've got the chemistry. They're putting championships together. They're making it to the championship. So, yeah, I think Sam Bennett's going to be off the board for a lot of us. I talked to the Utah Hockey Club yesterday a little bit about this, and it sounds like, Sam Bennett's something that could fit, but they also think they can get the same from other players on the roster now or players that they're bringing in. So, you got to give it to him. He's doing everything. And how about the old guys, Marchand and Corey Perry being kind of the leading guys in the finals? I don't think anybody saw that coming either.
Marchand's been incredible, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he just doesn't that baffle your mind a little bit? You're like, okay, this guy comes in. Boston was saying he's kind of over, and he's had too many injuries to be productive, and they let him go for what was a third-round pick, conditional, and it turned out to be a second-round pick after the lottery. So, but still, it's like I think it's the 36th pick overall to get Marchand to come in, and I mean he's got 9 goals in the playoffs, and how many penalties has he drawn? He's definitely a difference maker, and you can see him playing well into his 40s at this rate, right? He's just a phenomenal player.
So, Jay, I'm still trying to learn what is the line and what's over the line in NHL play, because I'll think I know kind of where the line is, and then I'll see something happen, and the officials don't blow the whistle. They don't call it. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's allowed, and then that's not allowed. But when a player goes down to his belly and Kane skates by and throws a stick into his face, now I know that's not allowed, but how dirty is that considered, and is that enough penalty to put Kane in a box for a minute? Or because we did see a fine handed down, holding Kachuk's hands down and taking a couple shots to the face. That's over the line. But how over the line were some of these things that Edmonton did to Florida?
They were really over the line. When you're talking about a play that's you can antagonize somebody, and that bar gets moved a little bit during the playoffs. They let more stuff go during the playoffs, which, for some fans is frustrating, and for some fans it's exciting. But when you see a play that has absolutely nothing to do with hockey except the intent to injure, so if a guy's down on his face on the ice and you smack him with your stick, there's no real play for that. That's intent to injure, not to the 5-minute major or a penalty like that, but it's still there's no other intent for that play than to injure that person's face. Or when you break your stick over somebody's back when they're not even looking at you, that's just taking it too far. You're going to take a guy out of the game. You're going to injure a guy doing that stuff. You run the risk of really, affecting his long-term NHL ability, right? Like if you hurt a player, breaking your stick over somebody's back while they're looking the other way is coward for one, and then two, you really could hurt that player long-term. So I think you're going to see more cracking down on that tonight. I know some people were complaining about the officiating, maybe not being consistent. I didn't really see it being inconsistent. At the end of the night, they both ended up with 4 minors. There were a bunch of misconducts. It kind of balanced out. Yeah, there were a lot of penalty minutes, but they kind of balanced out. And unless you were the guy that just absolutely deserved a penalty. So I think tonight you'll see more crackdown, which I don't love. I don't want it to be a show about refs, but kind of need a little more, the reins thrown on these guys a little bit more.
Jay Stevens, host of the Utah Puck Report, kind enough to join us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans, I have a new favorite that I want at the number 4 overall pick. He is a farmer, grew up on a farm with 4,000 pigs, 60,000 chickens, 250 dairy cow.
American Farm?
Yeah. Let's tell me a little bit about what we should see, who could very well be available in Brady Martin.
Yeah, Brady Martin is somebody that was projected to go second round and maybe late first round at best. And then after, they got back from the combine, he's projected to go 4 through 10 possibly, and Utah's all over him. He's a phenomenal player. He's got a lot of grit. He says he bases his game kind of off of Tom Wilson and actually Sam Bennett. That's what he tries to play like. He's grit. He's somewhat like, he's 6 foot, 178 pounds right now, and so he could be the person that we're looking for. But mostly, you're wanting an established guy for that kind of play right now. Phenomenal player, though, and everybody loved him in conversation and loved him, what he did at the Combine. So, yeah, to raise your stock that much, the GMs must be seeing something. And this is such a unique Combine this year. Because of the draft being more, not on location, they're doing a remote draft. So at the Combine this year, you had all the GMs there. You had all the player agents there. And there was a lot of talking amongst the GMs about who was going to do what. And I'm hearing rumors, and all of a sudden you're seeing these, mock drafts showing Utah trading the 4th overall pick for an established player and still being able to pick up Martin with the 7th or through 10th pick, depending on who they trade with. And so kind of getting a 2-for-1 deal and still getting the player they want. I don't know that they, risk it, but yeah, it's crazy because this isn't even a kid we had on our radar at all. For all the media that have been talking about it, everybody's been talking about Porter Martone, who's still going to be a great player, and it really shook up the draft, I think, and everybody's trying to scramble and re-rank everybody because what we thought was 1 through 5 last week after the combine might not be. They're talking 16 players now could go in that top 10. It's that random.
I was reading a piece this morning about NHL expansion. Scotty and I are always talking about Major League Baseball. We'd like to get it here in the state. We need them to get to the expansion moment where they open up the doors and make that decision so we could see if Utah could get a shot at it. But it looks like the NHL is ready for expansion. How quickly could that happen, and what markets do you think we could possibly see an expansion?
Well, we're seeing Atlanta and Houston building NHL arenas. Quebec City already has a brand new NHL-sized arena. They've been trying to get a team back for years. There are some tax implications and pay implications for players when they play in Quebec that makes it not as desirable as maybe an Atlanta or a Houston, but in the long run, that doesn't really matter. Players are going to go where there's, if you get the right coaching staff, the right support staff, a great rink, a great practice facility, players will go there even though they know they're not going to make as much money. But, yeah, those are the towns that keep coming up. Atlanta just approved to build a phenomenal rink. I think they're going to drop like $2 billion into a renovation. Houston already has a lot of the infrastructure there, and Quebec. So those are the top 3 that keep coming up. I don't know how ready the NHL is for expansion. Everybody was kind of caught off guard when Utah got their team. It's kind of a perfect storm where they had to do something with Arizona, and Utah was ready, and Ryan Smith played all his cards right. These other markets are all fighting. They were there before us, doing the same fighting, trying to prove that they were ready for the NHL. So it'd be interesting, and it definitely would help the NHL balance out a little bit. I could see 34 teams. It's not unrealistic also to think, there's a bunch of arenas that already have NBA that could easily do NHL, like we have proven, without all the renovations you have to do. Arenas that are already prepared for, hosting 2 teams like that. So other teams can come out, or other cities could come out and surprise us.
Jay Stevens right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, so write the script in Game 4. What do you think happens in this one?
What I really think is going to happen is Connor McDavid's going to come out and set the tone. He's going to be disciplined. He's going to beg his players and demand his players live up to the moment, because Edmonton is a good team. They deserve to be there, and I think we're going to see another 1-goal game. I can't fathom seeing another blowout like this. I think they got caught up in the moment, and their testosterone got the best of them. But I think you're going to see a more disciplined Edmonton team, and I would not be surprised to see them pull away a win tonight, depending on who they start in goal. And so I'm going with Edmonton in overtime.
Love to see it.
That is gutsy. I'd love to see it, too, because that'd put us at 2-2.
I just want to see as many games as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Great series. And this series, I mean, we should see a 7-game series out of this. And take the 6-1 out of the equation. It's a very good series. The 6-1, Edmonton just got lost.
Does a quick whistle favor Edmonton?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And if as long as Edmonton doesn't do anything after the quick whistle, that's where they kept getting in trouble. And Tkachuk even said, he's like, hey, I'll take a punch to the face all day if it means I'm going to win this game, or that it's going to give us some kind of advantage, even psychological.
Of course he would. He's probably looking forward to it. Hey, Jay, you're the best, man. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Jay.
There he is, host of the Utah Puck Report. It's Jay Stevens right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I can't, after the 6-1 whooping, I can't quite get on board.
I hope he's right.
With an Edmonton win. But if we saw them split in Edmonton and then split in Florida, and now we go 1-1-1, and all bets are off. All options are on the table. He is right, though. McDavid's only going to take so many shots beyond the ice for so long. There's only going to be so much backbiting and revenge. Edmonton knows how to play the game.
Yeah.
They know that they got out of bounds, that Kane got out of bounds, Nurse got out of bounds, that you shouldn't be hitting people in the face with sticks or punching Tkachuk when his hands are held down to his side. And not that Florida is innocent in this, because Tkachuk's getting in the crease and he's elbowing the goalie and he's doing dumb things that are needling a team. But Edmonton's smart enough that they know what they can and can't get away with.
And they've had a couple days now. I mean, look, every they can't go anywhere without people reminding them, like, hey, you lost your cool. You're a professional.
Yeah.
Do better.
They all lost their cool.
And so I can't imagine that's going to happen to them again.
Well, I hope that it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Edmonton with the win. Tie it up 2-2. I'm with you. I just want to see a Game 7 back in Edmonton. That's my only hope at this point.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is your top 60 and 60 watch list as Hans and Scotty get you ready for the start of the 2025 college football season by highlighting the most influential players on their team for the upcoming season. And now, get the call, baby! Come on, let's go! Here's today's newest addition to the watch list.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is your top 60 in 60 watch list. Again, this is no particular order, folks. We're not ranking anymore. It's just a watch list for our end of season ranking. So that's when you can really get mad at us.
Yep.
Is the end of the season. This is a watch list. It's an opportunity for us to focus on some of the individual players that we're excited and we'll keep a very close eye on. Hans, let's go for our first selection from Weber State. Gavin Ortega, offensive lineman, plays left guard from Bellingham, Washington, as Mickey Mental excited to work with him this upcoming season.
Gavin Ortega from Washington will be a 4-year starter for us. Tremendous football knowledge, brings a lot to the game, great leadership qualities. I think this is a big year for him and excited to see him continue to grow and develop and put everything great on tape.
Second team All Big Sky last year, the only returning all-conference player, Weber State, this season.
Big thanks to Coach Mental, too. And Coach Mental's, he's in a critical year this year. So he needs guys like Ortega to step up. But a spectacular player. I'd love to hear him talk about him, too. And did he say a 4-year starter?
Yeah. Started every game last year, anchored that offensive line, and is back for yet another year.
And I feel terrible for Weber States and FCS because they've been under attack. Their rosters have just been slaughtered.
Yes.
And good for Coach to be able to hang on to a 4-year starter in Ortega.
Yeah, no doubt. And Weber State, as you mentioned, this is a big year for them because they were riding high and kind of taking a step back with the landscape of college athletics being the way that it is. And frankly, a lot of guys that would have really helped that team in years past were, look, imagine you got Jack Kelly.
Yeah.
Who is a superstar at BYU. 5, 6, 7 years ago, he still would be at Weber State.
Yep. And, Weber State fans got themselves pretty used to winning with Jay Hill. So you got to find yourself at the top of the heap, and you got to start to really prove it. And guys like Ortega are going to be critical in being able to do that this year. So excited to see what Coach Mental can put out there.
All right, there you go. Our top 60 and 60 watch list. By the way, if you've missed out on any of the other players that have been brought up in our watch list, it is all available for you at kslsports.com. A great write-up on each individual player and your chance to be able to hear from the coaches as we will continue on getting you ready for the start of the college football season here in 2025. All right, it's your good, it's your bad, it's your ugly.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
Part of me doesn't feel overly comfortable, Hans, putting somebody's bad fortune on the good, but this one made me smile. Jay-Z thought he was going to be super smart and dropped $1 million bet on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Not to win last night, but no, to win the entire NBA Finals in 5 games, which is, frankly, a lot of people felt like that was going to happen.
Did it have to be 5, or could it have been inside 5?
Nope, it had to be exactly 5 games.
Wow.
Exactly 5 at plus 230 odds. Had Oklahoma City won the series in 5 games, he would have netted $3.3 million. Instead, he's out a cool 7 figures. Tell you what, folks, I know, look, Jay-Z's worth $2.5 billion, all right? He's not losing any sleep over this. But $1 million is still $1 million. And when Jay-Z gets a little lighter in the pocket, it doesn't break my heart at all.
What kind of odds did he get on that?
Plus 230.
So that means
he'd make $3.3 million.
Oh, my gosh.
That was the highest, by the way, that was the...
It's not a terrible bet.
No, it's not a bad bet at all. In fact, we mentioned before the series started, that was the best odds you could get on picking the final game was Oklahoma City in 5. And the next best after that was an Oklahoma City sweep. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that are losing some money on this bad boy. Jay-Z included.
Oh, so he not that the series ended in 5. It's Oklahoma City in 5.
It had to be Oklahoma City in 5 games. Winning it in 5.
Oh, my gosh. Is that even anything to him?
No.
Is he still married to...
I believe, yeah. He and Beyonce are still. Yeah, even though some girl with the good hair nearly wrecked that marriage. Wasn't there a song she had that referenced him stepping out on her?
I don't know.
Wasn't it like Becky with the good hair or something?
Is Jay-Z attached to P. Diddy?
There might be some connections there, yeah. Jay-Z,
I've seen his name mentioned a
I
few
got to imagine
times.
Jay-Z's like, you.
Though I think he stayed clean from it a little bit.
I know, so far, yeah. He's got to be like, whatever we got to do to put him way over there and me way over here, we got to do that because I want no part of that.
Yeah, that's going to end up costing him a lot more than $1 million. That's a bet that, you don't come back from.
No.
If his name gets implicated and they've got any type of video evidence, this thing could get really ugly for Jay-Z. The least of his worries is putting bets down.
There's a lot of PR people out there like, all right, Jay-Z, you got to tell us. Are we going to hear anything? No. Look, it stays here in this room. Are we going to hear anything? Do we need to prepare? Because if we need to prepare, we got to prepare. And he'll have the best people out there scrubbing. I mean, we've seen firsthand a professional athlete who had some stuff come out about him, and he had a good PR agency, and that internet got absolutely scrubbed. Absolutely scrubbed. We've seen that firsthand, and we were involved in that a little bit to a certain extent, unwillingly. Mm-hmm. So, when you pay enough people and you got enough resources, you can sometimes make something go away, but you got to nip it in the bud before, because once the National Enquirer or the New York Times or somebody gets a hold of it, then you're done. You can't put it back in the bottle. But so far, nothing.
Well, Jay-Z does not know his sports. $1 million, too.
$1 million. Whew. It's a big-time bet. All right, there's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
Well, how much is Caitlin Clark worth to the WNBA? Well, we're finding out because she has not played over the last few weeks because of that strained left quad. And the WNBA TV ratings, since she stepped out with the injury, is down 55%. So TV ratings down 55%. Well, okay, that's across the league. What about her individual team, the Indiana Fever? Well, those games on national TV since her injury are down 53%. She was averaging, when she was playing on national TV, viewership was averaging 1.8 million viewers. Now, about 847.
So still a lot of viewers, 847,000.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Is a fantastic number. I would like to see what the number is for anybody not named the Fever, just to get an idea of where we're at with the WNBA. But this isn't the WNBA. This is the Caitlin Clarks.
Yes. Yeah. The National Association of Caitlin Clarks.
And if they don't figure that out and she gets permanently injured or she just is done with what's been going on, which I don't think she will be. She's just too competitive.
Yeah.
And she's not going to let the world stop her. But 55% decline since her injury and her exit.
They better start protecting that golden egg.
Yeah.
So what do? Quick whistle? You make her the SGA of the WNBA?
Well, they probably need to have a big meeting with the players, like where you teach them. Say, hey, this is where the money's made, so be smart about it.
Yeah, because every time she has a 38-point game, that's good for the WNBA. And every time she goes off and has a massive percentage from three, the WNBA stands to gain.
You know how the NFL does their thing where they teach the players, hey, be good with your money. You just have a meeting, that type of meeting with all the players.
The rookie symposium?
Yes, the rookie symposium. Yeah. You just have a picture of Caitlin Clark. This is where your bread is buttered.
You will not foul or aggressively defend Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, and if you do, look, I mean, I don't want to take you back to any bad memories, but you had a coach tell you after you hit Peyton Manning that he is worth more than your entire life.
Yeah.
The same thing needs to be addressed to other teams around the WNBA. Like, hey, Caitlin Clark, this is where you're at, okay? You jump up about 3.5 miles, and that's where Caitlin Clark is. Mm-hmm. So if you, all the way down here, do something to hurt her, who's all the way up here, you're going to get suspended.
For a long period.
For a long time. In fact, we're going to kick you out of the league.
We'll just boot you. We'll take your $32,000 stipend, and we'll just trash it.
Yeah, and we're going to make you play with Angel Reese.
Can Caitlin Clark, is she just in this for the long haul, or does eventually she just say, I'm worth a lot of money. I got to figure out how to capitalize on this?
Well, where else can she capitalize on it?
I don't know.
I mean, she could go overseas and probably make more in a salary standpoint, but nobody's watching women's basketball in Greece.
The WNBA, is it 8 teams? 10 teams? It's like 8 or 10 teams. Can't Caitlin Clark go into markets and just be like, you know what? We're done with this. Let's do this a little differently.
I see. That's what I think. I think she calls the Saudis and says, guess what? I'm going to start my own league, and I'm going to need a couple billion to do it.
Yeah.
And they're like, here you go.
Saudis would do it.
Yeah, in a second. They'd get way more return on their money from that than they would the Live Tour.
Oh, all of a sudden, Saudis would be all about women's rights.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, that gives them PR because that's the only reason they're doing it is like, oh, hey, we chopped and quartered this journalist. We probably ought to get some goodwill out there. Well, let's buy some golfers. Well, how about if you really want to get on people's good side, support women's sports in America?
Oh, my gosh. That would be a big deal for them. I could see it. But, I know we joke a little bit about Caitlin Clark separating and doing something bigger. When you see ratings decline this much with her off the court, the WNBA is nothing with her. They go right back to poverty.
Yeah.
Not that they're making money yet. Even with Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is still hemorrhaging money. But at least you can find some design if she's a part of it.
All right, Hans and Scotty coming up next. Another edition of Whole World News right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Go! It's time to span the globe for the hard-hitting news you care about. Well, not really. But hey, at least we found it interesting. This is Whole World News on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We've got the whole world in our hands.
You got the whole world in our hands.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans coming up on Monday. You and I are heading up north. We'll be live at John Watson Chevrolet, 3535 Wall Avenue in Ogden. All right, by the way, Kevin Young, BYU basketball coach, is going to join us coming up in about 10 minutes from right now. Quick edition of Whole World News. Hans, we're going to go to Indianapolis, Indiana, your former home for what, 3 years?
4.
4 years. Mm-hmm. Home of one Hans Olsen. Well, there was a Family Dollar that was being robbed. And so the employees called 911, said we're being robbed, or not robbed per se. We have somebody who's stealing merchandise. So it's not like somebody had a gun and was emptying the cash register. They were just shoplifting. So they called the police. The police show up, and they cannot find the shoplifter, nor can they find 2 employees until they hear gunshots. The police then respond a block away to where a shooting took place. 15 minutes after the theft occurred, the report said that the shoplifter was shot with a .22 in his right buttocks.
Oh, boy.
Apparently, 2 employees decided to take it upon themselves to chase down the robber in their vehicle while the robber was getting away on a bicycle. 2 employees hopped in their car with a .22 in the back.
This is a dollar store employee?
And started open firing.
Probably a couple teenagers. Would they be teenagers?
Does not say their age. Crews would later interview both employees, but they said we didn't feel comfortable letting him drive away with our Dollar Family merchandise. So they drove down the street, saw him on the bicycle. They said they fired a warning shot. He did not stop. So they then hit him in the right buttocks.
And that stopped him.
The reported thief dropped the merchandise as soon as he was hit by the second shot.
Hit me in the buttocks.
I was doing that for you, Lloyd.
Thanks, buddy.
So what's going to happen with the guys that shot him?
They have been arrested. And the thief has been cited with a misdemeanor, shoplifting.
But they got arrested?
Yes. You can't go around shooting people, even thieves. I know. I'm with you. I don't like thieves either.
But they stole. They deserve it.
You're having a hard time getting me to disagree with you. But, again, the whole, taking the law in your own hands and shooting people, usually not thought well of.
Well, if you don't steal,
you don't get shot.
Well, that's a very easy thing to draw.
I agree.
Did you know that a .22 is the number 1 killer in America for guns?
Yes. I did know that. That's what assassins will use.
Yeah, people think that you can just go shooting .22s around and it barely break the skin. But no, it's a bad gun to be shot by.
Yeah. All right, Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.